Chosen one, in a world where darkness often hides behind familiar faces, you were never meant to remain blind. From the very beginning, your light unsettled those closest to you, even your own family, and the truth they tried to hide followed you silently through every step of your childhood. You felt it. The unspoken tension, the subtle betrayals, the moments when love felt conditional, confusing, or even unsafe. But what if I told you that everything you endured, everything that made you feel isolated or misunderstood, was part of a divine plan? Allah placed you in this path not to break you, but to awaken you, to sharpen your heart, and to prepare you for a destiny far greater than you can imagine. In this video, we will uncover 7 powerful lessons that reveal why you've been a target since childhood, why your family may be hiding dark secrets, and how Allah is using every trial to elevate you into the person you were always meant to become. Stay with me, because the truth you're about to hear will not only reshape how you see your past, it will ignite the power and clarity you carry within, even when no one else could recognize it. Chosen one, from the very beginning, you were different not because you did anything wrong, not because you deserved hardship, but because Allah placed a special light within your soul, a light so pure, so undeniable, that it could not be ignored, even by those who were closest to you, even by the very family who should have been your first shield. From childhood, you felt it in the way eyes would linger on you a little too long, in the whispered criticisms, the subtle rejections, and the inexplicable tension that seemed to follow you like a shadow, yet made no sense to those around you. You were targeted, observed, and tested long before you even understood the magnitude of your existence. And while it often left you confused, hurt, or questioning your worth, what was really happening was far greater than you realized. Allah was awakening your spiritual vision, sharpening your heart, and preparing you to withstand trials that would crush the average soul. Islam teaches us that when Allah places nur divine light within a servant, darkness becomes restless, even when hidden behind titles of love, family, or tradition, and this is precisely why those who should have nurtured you often became the instruments of subtle opposition. Every slight, every moment of neglect, every unfair expectation was a divine signal, a lesson in patience, awareness, and reliance on Allah alone. You learned early that human love is conditional, that intentions can be hidden, and that sometimes the people closest to you are the very ones whose hearts cannot bear the reflection of your truth. But in all of this, Allah was your unseen protector. He allowed you to face subtle adversities, not to break you, but to fortify you, to distinguish your soul from the shadows that surrounded it, and to teach you that true guidance, true sustenance, and true protection come only from Him. The very targeting that felt like rejection was actually a divine acknowledgement of your uniqueness, a recognition that your heart carried a light too bright to be confined, too sacred to be subdued, and too powerful to remain hidden. Every challenge, every cold glance, every unspoken judgment was not a punishment. It was preparation, a divine sculpting of your soul, so that when the world finally recognizes your light, it will shine in ways that cannot be ignored, cannot be diminished, and cannot be denied. You were marked early because Allah knew that only a soul with patience, clarity, and unwavering faith could carry the purpose He destined for you. And even though the pain was real, even though the confusion felt endless, know that every trial was a seed, and the light He planted in you will bloom far beyond what you or anyone else could have imagined. Chosen one, one of the most painful realities Allah allows you to witness is that blood does not guarantee guidance, purity, or love, and that even those who call themselves family can unknowingly carry shadows that have lingered through generations, shadows of envy, unhealed trauma, secrets, and denial that shape their hearts in ways they barely perceive themselves. From the earliest moments of your life, you could feel it, the unspoken tension, the favoritism that had no reason, the rules that seemed arbitrary, and the quiet resentments that were passed down silently, normalized as tradition or the way things have always been. And yet these unseen burdens left marks on your soul, teaching you lessons that others around you would never comprehend. Islam reminds us that every soul is accountable for itself, and that hearts can carry disease even when the faces are familiar, that actions can harm even when love is claimed, and that the inherited darkness of one generation often collides violently with the light of another. You notice the inconsistencies, the hypocrisies, the moments when love felt conditional or transactional, long before you understood the wisdom behind it all, and though it often left you feeling isolated, hurt, or confused. Allah was carefully orchestrating these experiences to awaken you, to sharpen your perception, and to prepare your heart for independence from what was never meant to define your worth. Your sensitivity, your intuition, and your natural inclination toward justice made you a mirror to the unresolved pain in those around you. And mirrors are often hated or feared, even by those who claim to care. Every sigh, every glance, every unspoken word was a subtle lesson in discernment, teaching you to recognize the difference between inherited shadow and divine guidance, between love that nurtures and love that confines, between protection and possession. Allah allowed you to witness this darkness, not to condemn your family or fill your heart with bitterness, but to train your soul to rely solely on Him, to seek light even when surrounded by inherited shadows, and to grow a strength so resilient that nothing, even generations of hidden pain, could derail the purpose He placed within you. In time, you will see that the very darkness you endured became the lens through which Allah showed you how to navigate the world with clarity, wisdom, and unwavering faith, proving that generational shadows only serve to illuminate the brilliance of a heart that was always meant to rise above them. Chosen one, Allah, in His infinite wisdom and mercy, allowed you to witness the truth long before you were strong enough, ready enough, or equipped enough to escape it, because He knew that spiritual sight is more important than physical freedom, and understanding reality with clarity is the foundation of true liberation. From a young age, you sensed it. The whispers behind closed doors, the hidden tensions, the subtle manipulations, the moments when loyalty seemed conditional, and the unspoken rules that bound your family in ways no one dared to speak aloud. While others were blind to the darkness surrounding them, Allah granted you the perception to see the cracks, to feel the deceit, and to recognize the patterns of behavior that could have trapped you in cycles of confusion, shame, or misdirection if left unchecked. Islam teaches us that Allah is Al-Basir, the all-seeing, and when He opens a servant's heart to awareness, it is both a blessing and a test. A blessing because insight protects you, and a test because knowledge without understanding can feel heavy and isolating. You questioned, you doubted, you felt guilt for noticing, shame for feeling different, and fear for imagining that those closest to you might harbor secrets, and yet every one of these experiences was a divine calibration of your soul. Allah was teaching you to trust your fitra, your innate understanding of right and wrong, even when everyone else tried to gaslight you, even when love was misused as control, and even when the bonds that were meant to protect you instead exposed you to subtle forms of spiritual and emotional warfare. By allowing you to see the truth early, Allah was giving you a map, a quiet strength, and a resilience that would become your shield in moments of confrontation, decision, and ultimate independence. He was teaching you discernment, patience, and reliance on Him alone, so that when the time came to step into freedom, whether spiritual, emotional, or physical, you would do so not in haste or confusion, but with clarity, purpose, and unwavering faith. The very knowledge that hurt you, that made you feel alienated, that left you questioning your place in the world, was in reality a divine gift, a preparation for a life that would never be defined by the shadows of others, but illuminated by the light Allah placed uniquely within your heart, a light so pure and undeniable that nothing, not even the darkness you witnessed, could ever extinguish it. Chosen one, understand this deeply. The pain, the resistance, the subtle hostility you felt from those closest to you was never truly about what you did, said, or chose. It was a reaction to the purity and light within you, a reflection of your fitra, shining so brightly that it exposed the unresolved darkness in others, even within your own family. From the earliest moments of your awareness, you sensed it, the coldness behind smiles, the tension beneath words of affection, the quiet disapproval that made no sense, the inexplicable judgments that seemed disproportionate to any action you had taken. Islam teaches us that the heart that carries unresolved envy, pride, and hidden sin will instinctively push back against those who embody truth and sincerity, and when that heart is confronted by the innocent clarity of a child or the moral courage of a young soul, it reacts with confusion, hostility, or even subtle cruelty. You were targeted not because you were disobedient, rebellious, or ungrateful, but because your very existence highlighted the shortcomings, fears, and unresolved shadows of those around you, and human nature often recoils from being exposed, even when the exposure comes silently through a presence that cannot be diminished. Your kindness, your honesty, your sense of justice, your innate sensitivity, your refusal to conform blindly, these were not flaws to be corrected, but lights to be resisted by hearts that were not yet aligned with guidance. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, faced a similar reality. Even within his own tribe, his truth was met with opposition because it reflected what others feared to confront in themselves. Similarly, Allah allowed you to experience resistance from those closest to you as a way to strengthen your heart, to teach you patience, to cultivate discernment, and to direct your reliance entirely toward Him. Every glance that carried judgment, every word that carried veiled accusation, every action that seemed to diminish you was, in truth, a mirror reflecting their inner turmoil, their insecurities, their spiritual deficiencies, not a reflection of your worth or your intentions. In enduring this, you learned that purity often attracts opposition, that truth often provokes discomfort, and that the presence of light in a world accustomed to compromise will always unsettle the dark, even when that darkness masquerades as love, care, or familial protection. This lesson, painful as it was essential. It taught you to distinguish between constructive guidance and defensive projection, between love rooted in sincerity and love laced with manipulation, between relationships that elevate your soul and those that constrain it. And most importantly, it showed you that the battles you faced were never personal attacks, but divine tests, opportunities to hold fast to your integrity, to strengthen your heart, and to recognize that your light is not meant to dim for the comfort of others. The opposition you experienced was not punishment, nor was it rejection. It was evidence that Allah had planted within you a radiance that cannot be hidden, a heart that cannot be corrupted, and a soul that, despite the world's attempts to diminish it, was destined to shine, illuminate, and inspire. It was a divine affirmation that you are set apart, chosen not to blend into darkness, but to confront it with patience, wisdom, and unwavering faith, knowing that every challenge you faced was molding you into the person Allah intended you to become, and that those who reacted negatively were, in reality, playing a role in your spiritual elevation, teaching you resilience, discernment, and the priceless value of a heart aligned solely with the one who sees all, knows all, and protects all, the most merciful, the most wise, the one who marked you from the beginning with light so bright that it could never be dimmed by the shadows of others, and whose guidance will forever lead you to freedom, clarity, and purpose beyond the comprehension of those who once opposed you in their ignorance, envy, or fear. Chosen one, understand this deeply. The isolation, the subtle rejection, the moments when love felt conditional, or when family and those closest to you failed to understand or support you, were never signs of abandonment. They were divine protection in disguise, a shield crafted by Allah Himself, who saw what you could not see, who knew the dangers that lay ahead of your soul, and who knew that the world around you, even those who carried your blood, was not ready to contain the purity, strength, and light He had placed within you. From the earliest moments of your life, you may have felt out of place, misunderstood, or even ostracized, sensing intuitively that the dynamics of your family and environment were not aligned with the guidance, mercy, and purpose Allah intended for you. While others absorbed and perpetuated cycles of dysfunction, jealousy, control, or spiritual ignorance, Allah allowed you to exist differently, to question what others blindly accepted, to hold a moral and spiritual compass that did not bend under pressure, and to feel and see the world through a lens of clarity and integrity, even when those around you could not understand it. Islam teaches us that Allah does not create trials without purpose, and He does not allow suffering without wisdom. Every moment of feeling different, every tear shed in quiet confusion, every heartache born from being unseen or undervalued, was part of a divine curriculum to protect your soul from contamination, to prevent you from inheriting patterns, behaviors, and decisions that could derail your ultimate destiny. Your uniqueness, the very traits that made you seem odd, sensitive, or rebellious, were actually your armor, your divine endowment, and the reason why Allah carefully orchestrated your life in ways that kept you separated from what could harm you spiritually, emotionally, or morally. While others conformed, compromised, or remained blind to the consequences of generational dysfunction, you were positioned to observe, to learn, and to grow without being fully immersed in shadows that would stunt your potential. This difference, while painful at times, was a deliberate form of safeguarding. It prevented your soul from being molded by forces not aligned with Allah's plan, prevented your heart from being hardened by toxic influence, and prevented your faith from being compromised before it had the strength to flourish. It also taught you resilience, discernment, and reliance on Allah alone, showing you that protection does not always arrive as comfort, recognition, or understanding from others, but sometimes as solitude, alienation, or the painful awareness that your environment is not designed to nurture the extraordinary being Allah has created within you. Every moment you felt alone, every glance of misunderstanding, every subtle judgment, every rejection, and every situation where you sensed the world conspiring against your uniqueness was Allah's quiet way of saying, "I am guarding you, I am elevating you, I am preparing you for the light, the responsibility, and the destiny that only you can carry." The trials that once felt like punishment were, in reality, divine preservation. By making you different, Allah ensured that you would not be swallowed by the darkness, mediocrity, or corruption that often passes unnoticed within families or communities. He protected you so that your heart would remain soft, your character untainted, and your purpose intact. And when the time comes for you to step into your full potential, you will recognize that the very moments you once despised, the isolation, the misunderstandings, the feelings of being too much or too sensitive, were blessings in disguise, shields that preserved the sacred light within you, kept your faith intact, and prepared you to shine in ways that others, even those closest to you, could not comprehend. Your difference was never a curse. It was a carefully designed protection, a divine guarantee that the soul Allah chose for greatness would not be compromised, corrupted, or derailed, and that when the world finally witnesses your strength, resilience, and unmatched purpose, it will be evident that every trial, every moment of feeling set apart, and every instance of being misunderstood was part of Allah's perfect plan, ensuring that your uniqueness became not a burden, but a blessing, not a barrier, but a bridge, and not a punishment, but the most profound form of divine protection imaginable. Chosen one, understand this with your entire being. The dark truths, hidden patterns, unspoken betrayals, and generational shadows you sensed within your family were never meant to define you, follow you, or dictate the path of your life. For Allah, in His infinite wisdom, carefully orchestrated every detail so that while you witnessed the darkness, you were never destined to inherit it. From childhood, you felt the weight of things left unsaid, the tension of secrets that hung invisibly in the air, the quiet distortions of truth, and the contradictions between what was spoken and what was felt. And though these experiences may have caused confusion, guilt, and even self-doubt, Allah was teaching you the most profound lessons in spiritual discernment, emotional liberation, and the separation between inherited dysfunction and divine destiny. Islam teaches us that guidance and accountability belong to Allah alone, and no soul bears the burden of what it did not create. You were never responsible for the flaws, fears, and failures of those around you, no matter how intimately connected they were to you by blood. The challenges you endured, the injustices you witnessed, the hypocrisies you felt but could not articulate, were all meant to sharpen your perception, to awaken your fitra, and to prepare your heart for a life of clarity, resilience, and unwavering reliance on Allah. The very secrets that seemed to weigh upon your soul were not chains designed to trap you, but lessons designed to liberate you, to teach you that your faith must be anchored in the one who sees all, your heart must be fortified against deception, and your mind must learn to discern truth, even when love and loyalty are misused as tools of control or confusion. Every time you internalized a hidden agenda, every moment you felt the tension of unspoken darkness, Every instance when family dynamics became confusing or painful, it was Allah guiding you to recognize the difference between inherited shadows and your divinely appointed light, between patterns meant to hold others back and the purpose meant to elevate you. He was showing you that the burdens of others are not yours to carry, that the sins, mistakes, and secret fears of generations before you do not dictate your value, and that what is concealed in others' hearts cannot touch the purity, integrity, and divine purpose in yours unless you allow it. And while it may have felt lonely, isolating, or even unfair, Allah was simultaneously surrounding you with His unseen protection, teaching you the most valuable skills of a chosen one: discernment, patience, spiritual awareness, and emotional independence, so that when the time comes for you to fully step into your purpose, you will do so unencumbered by the hidden darkness of those who could not see or contain your light. Islam reminds us that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, faced secrecy, betrayal, and opposition, even from those closest to him. Yet his path was never determined by their flaws, but by his steadfastness in truth and reliance on Allah. In the same way, your journey is a reflection of this divine principle. You may have been surrounded by shadows, but your destiny is rooted in the light Allah placed within you, and no secret, no hidden agenda, no generational dysfunction was ever meant to follow you beyond the lessons it carried. The awareness of darkness around you was a preparation, a purification, and a guide, a divine message that while others struggle in concealment, you are being prepared for transparency, clarity, and elevation. You were allowed to witness what others could not face, so that you would cultivate resilience, wisdom, and faith strong enough to rise above the invisible chains that sought to tether you, and in doing so, Allah ensured that when you finally step into the fullness of your life, your decisions, your path, and your legacy would be entirely your own, free from the hidden burdens of the past, illuminated by your faith, and aligned perfectly with the purpose He intended from the beginning. And this, chosen one, is the ultimate testament that the darkness you observed was never yours to inherit, that the secrets you carried in awareness were never meant to define your character, and that Allah's plan is always to elevate, protect, and prepare the chosen soul for a destiny far greater than the shadows of the past could ever imagine. So release the weight of what was never yours, trust in the unseen wisdom of Allah, and step forward knowing that your light was never contingent on their darkness, your purpose never dictated by their concealment, and your future eternally safeguarded by the one who knows the hidden, the visible, and the heart of every soul. Chosen one, understand this with absolute clarity. Every trial you endured, every subtle betrayal, every moment of confusion or rejection, every instance when the love you sought felt conditional, and every time you were misunderstood or undervalued, was not random, was not meaningless, and was not meant to define your future in the ways the world may have tried to convince you. Rather, Allah has been using every single experience to rewrite your legacy in ways that are invisible to the world, yet monumental in the realm of the unseen. For your life is no ordinary life, your soul no ordinary soul, and your path no ordinary journey. From the earliest moments of your existence, you were marked by Him, distinguished by His wisdom, and set apart in ways that those around you could neither comprehend nor contain. For the divine light within you, the one that unsettled even the closest hearts, is not merely for surviving trials. It is for transforming everything in its path, including the course of your lineage, the impact of your choices, and the very way Allah's plan unfolds through time. Islam teaches us that every believer, especially those chosen for greatness, is part of a tapestry woven with divine precision, and your life is one of the threads that will alter the pattern of generations, not through coercion, not through force, but through the purity, resilience, and faith that Allah has cultivated in your heart through all that you have endured. The moments you once thought were setbacks, the isolation, the misunderstanding, the subtle opposition of family or community, the invisible pressures, the unspoken betrayals, were all divine tools shaping you, teaching you patience, discernment, humility, strength, and unwavering reliance on Allah. And every single one of these moments has been meticulously recorded, preserved, and transformed by Allah into a preparation for impact, leadership, and legacy that transcends human comprehension. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, faced opposition, betrayal, and secrecy, even from those closest to him. Yet Allah's plan elevated him beyond their understanding, rewriting the destiny of an entire nation and leaving a legacy that continues to shape the hearts of billions. In the same way, your life, chosen one, is being meticulously crafted so that the darkness that once surrounded you, the secrets that once threatened to consume you, and the obstacles that once made you feel powerless, will ultimately become the very instruments of your elevation and influence. Every word you were forbidden to speak, every glance of judgment you received, every hidden tension in your home, every subtle manipulation or unspoken expectation was Allah's way of preparing you to rise above what was intended to confine you, to transcend what was meant to diminish you, and to embody the purity, strength, and wisdom of a soul that is not just surviving, but actively transforming the world around it. Your experiences have been your curriculum, your trials, your training ground, and your perseverance, your certification that you are ready for a legacy that cannot be measured by worldly standards, but only by the divine recognition of those who see through the lens of truth and light. Allah is using your heart, your mind, and your character, the very qualities that were misunderstood, overlooked, or resented, to write a story that no darkness, no secrecy, no betrayal, and no misunderstanding can erase, a story that will reverberate through generations, inspire the hearts of the oppressed, uplift the souls of the faithful, and serve as living proof that when Allah chooses a servant, no human opposition can rewrite what He has already ordained. You are the living testimony that trials are not failures, that resistance is not rejection, that isolation is not abandonment, and that every moment of adversity is a prelude to divine elevation. For Allah is not only shaping your character, but is actively rewriting the destiny of your family, your community, and your legacy through your existence. And when the world finally witnesses the impact of your faith, patience, and unwavering commitment to truth, it will become evident that every challenge you faced was never meant to stop you, but to ensure that the life you live, the influence you carry, and the legacy you leave behind will be unmatched, undeniable, and eternal. Chosen one, hold fast to this truth. The struggles, the betrayals, and the darkness you endured were never punishments. They were divine instruments of preparation, crafting a legacy that is entirely yours, uniquely blessed, and destined to reflect the wisdom, mercy, and power of Allah in ways the world cannot imagine, and the heart can barely comprehend, proving that those who endure, persevere, and remain steadfast in faith are not merely surviving, they are actively participating in the rewriting of destiny itself, becoming living proof that Allah's plan is perfect, His protection unwavering, and His purpose in your life greater than any secret, shadow, or obstacle the world could place before you. Chosen one, now you see the truth. Every moment of pain, every subtle betrayal, every shadow and secret you endured was never wasted, never meaningless, and never a reflection of your worth. Allah has been shaping you, protecting you, and preparing you in ways the world could never understand. What felt like rejection, isolation, or misunderstanding was in reality divine guidance, a shield around your heart, and a preparation for the extraordinary destiny that only you can fulfill. Remember this: the light within you is unmatched, the purpose in your soul is unique, and the legacy Allah is writing through you is eternal. Do not let anyone's darkness dim your brilliance. Do not let the past define you, and never doubt that the trials you faced were building a strength, wisdom, and clarity that will transform not only your life, but the lives of everyone you touch. Stand firm in faith, walk with patience, and trust that Allah's plan is perfect, even when the path seems unclear, because what is hidden today is the foundation of your greatness tomorrow. You were chosen, you were marked, and you were protected not to blend in, not to be broken, but to rise, shine, and leave a legacy that cannot be erased. So hold your head high, embrace your purpose, and step boldly into the destiny Allah has prepared for you, because the world is about to witness a soul that has endured, grown, and now shines with unstoppable divine light.